Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to National Gallery of Modern Art, Bangalore. It is pleasure to welcome G. Vignesh for today's talk. Visibility is not community, collective thinking, public space, and live art performance. An interdisciplinary art worker, art writer, and curator, trained in art history and painting, he explored how performance, site-responsive interventions, and collective actions can create meaningful space for dialogue, care, and social engagement. As a founding member of Possible Futures, he has worked extensively with artists, theatre practitioners, and communities to develop participatory and ecological engaged projects in public space. His work and research draw from performance studies, critical ecology, and contemporary art, examining the intersection of art, activism, and collective memory. We are delighted to have him today with us and looking forward for his insights on collective thinking, public space, and live art performance. Please join me in welcoming G. Vignesh. Let's do something for forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank everyone for being here. Thank you, our curator, Smitha Cariappa, and NGMA for providing this platform. Uh, the presentation or the experience, what I'm sharing is it's my observations and the lived experiences during our practice since 5 years now. Here, the title visibility is not community. I have been thinking about this, like, since a few years now. Like, visibility is also not equal to the community, as in, like, how what we see on social media these days. Like, everyone wants to rush into, being visible or by sharing stories, or we all do that, and making immediate posts, and we always want to be relevant, and you cannot go irrelevant. If you are irrelevant, which means, like, you're absent, which is not actually true. So yeah, like, so my observations were, like, how the visibility is, like, overpowering, and kind of uh, it's hampering the community, the thought process of a community, the methodology of a community. Um like, we are moving towards a lot of, I'm seeing hyper individualism, like self promotion, and yeah, um, self promotion, and portfolio culture, networking as performance. Like, we all know, like, we attend the openings for networking these days, uh, art galleries, like, art openings, not to really, like, like, see the artworks anymore. So yeah, this is like some of the observations where I was working with the art galleries as a curator, and the social media visibility, of course, and the participation metrics. So visibility creates recognition, like community creates a responsibility. Starting with that, sorry, that's slide. Okay, what is a collective thinking? So it comes with any collaboration or any community making comes with a collective thinking. So as of my observation, collective thinking is not simply, like, as we say, working together or thinking together. It's far more difficult task, actually. So it's not that easy task to work or think collectively. We all have differences. So we all, the behind the collective thing, what goes is a lot of disagreements, negotiations, listenings, shared risks, distributed labor, collective memory, and collective responsibility, and also a lot of fights. So and collaboration, that's where the collaboration comes, and as an activity, and the collective thinking becomes its methodology. So it's an egalitarian concept, actually, so where everyone is equal, everyone is equally considered, or everyone's idea is equally taken care of. So as also like an American philosopher, theorist, Judith Butler says, is she critiques that the neoliberal idea of the autonomous individual, the contemporary society is increasingly pushes people toward individualization, responsibilization, competitive subjectivity, and isolation. So while simultaneously weakening the structures of collective support or collective thinking, what we actually uh, need in it's a high time for us, which is I feel. And sometimes, like when it comes to collective thinking right now, for example, this whole 3 day session event curated by Smitha, it's like holding a space together and coming together. We don't have to make any meaning out of it. It's sometimes gathering itself is a message. So, and that's more important. All right. I just want to share this thing. So I was thinking through this meme culture these days. Actually, making memes is it's not only funny, but also like what happens is like a lot of information gathering happens online from the online material they gather and they put it into one context. So I'm trying to theorize a meme here. Become like beyond behind every joke, there is an infrastructure of visible invisible labor. Right. So visibility produces recognition, participation produces encounter, care produces community. And collective thinking begins where visibility alone is no longer enough. So yeah, we must have seen these pictures, like there's so many unread messages because we build a community or a WhatsApp community, WhatsApp group. Like, people are keep like they keep sharing their ideas, like sharing photographs and all. Like how many people are hardly opening and seeing them. But and also we are calling it as a collective. We are a collective, or we are a community, or collaborators. Um, so there are like unpaid interns, invisible labor, um, like of course sessions, gossips, everything which goes behind the scenes. I've mentioned some of the readings which I have came across. Uh, this is one of our the project. Uh, I'm calling it a rather gather, like it's gathering. And when it comes to collective thinking, when we this is we have a group in Hyderabad. It's called Possible Futures. So whenever we come up with a project, we all, if possible, we gather physically, or else we uh, meet online. So a lot of discussions which goes through behind the ideas or coming into any kind of projects into existence. Uh, so here, like we, wherever the site we choose, like we do Reiki, and during the whole process of choosing the site and discussions, there are a lot of negotiations happening, and we make sure, like if the space or the site is it needs to be cleaned, or what is the condition there. So if the condition is like can be utilized in our live art, project, we go ahead with that. Otherwise, like we clean. This is from the campus. Some people know about and the place. So we first did a cleaning session here, and while doing the cleaning session, we also everyone like popped up with a lot of fresh ideas. So yeah, this is like how collective thinking begins with. And yes, of course, a lot of group discussions, online discussions. That's why I put up some screenshots here. They are very familiar images to us. And the process. So everyone equally given the task. There is a shared responsibility amongst each other, and we then we gather this. This is one of the project we did last year in the Central University of Hyderabad, where the current state government, they auctioned the forest land, 400 acres of forest land for the IT park, which was worth around 20,000 crores or something. So they claimed that there is no wildlife and all, but actually we lived in that place. Like we know there are deers, there are porcupines, there are many wildlife. There is a proper biodiversity which is there. So responding to that side, this was already they have cleaned up, bulldozed 100 acres. So before the protest, we thought of responding to that site, and we visited that site, and it was so painful to see like all these trees were been rooted down, and we collected those roots and branches and whatever we could find. Um, yeah, so that's how the process of that project actually began. Another process which I want to mention is like this was from the second edition which we did. Here, like a lot of students were gathered, and they were helping each other. There were some students who are also part of like possible futures, the group. And when they heard there is this public um, performance event which we are going to host, they all gathered, like seniors, juniors, like regardless of any classes and all. So this was a performance by Madhukar Mucharla. He's from JNFU Art College there, and a couple of students, they came together, and one person knows how to make a dappu or this duffly. So they literally they made the duffly, and someone wrote it, someone tied it. So that's how while coming together and making the process more meaningful. A lot of shared uh, knowledge was passing, and again, like another task is like what happens after the performances are done, documented. So one of us, we document the performances, and one of us, we edit. So this is the editing team. uh, that's the editing team, and we are also on social media, which is all important to be there. And because that's how because the performance or the live art is ephemeral in nature, so by documentation we make it as an archive, and as a portfolio, one could say. And yeah, also we gather, we cook together, we eat together. Sorry, this was shuffled. Okay. Well, I like coming back to the memes, memes as a collective cultural production. So memes are not just as funny internet images. I would treat them as a folk culture, vernacular archives, and distributed authorship. Memes are not isolated images. They are actually groups of digital artifacts that are imitated, transformed, manipulated, circulated collectively throughout the internet, what we see or scroll down every day. A meme is rarely a singular author. It survives through remixing, repetition, and collective participation. In that sense, meme culture is one of the largest experiments in distributed authorship in the current digital era. So these must be very familiar images on the internet. You might see the memes, the pictures picked up from the Bollywood films and fit into a different context altogether. So how the meanings all shifts together when it also when they collectively the images, the dialogues, they come collectively, and it changes the meaning. Public space as collective space, and why is still a question for me. Why art in public space matters? What makes a space public? So this is a question for you all as well, because I also want to learn this by hearing from all of you. uh, um, when we first this was our first project, like we uh, in Hyderabad, like it's been almost 12 years, and after passing out from SN school, I always missed this community, or community of artists who are meeting on because I have learned it from my seniors. They used to collectively take us on exhibitions, every month, whatever the openings are happening. They used to gather the juniors, let's go, like 20, 15 people, We used to like book a we used to catch a bus and like two three buses and go to attend an exhibition, um, because our seniors used to like push us. You have to come and see what's happening out there. Don't be a Kueka Mendak like sitting in the university and think this is the world. So that practice was this exercise was really helpful for us. And when we started doing that, um, I like after passing out, I miss that kind of a culture, and like I try to, bring it back by talking to many artists who are living in Hyderabad. But then like sometimes it was like going and like some people shown interest, somewhere not, but then it somehow it didn't happen. But then after a few years, like one of my friend like Harsha Durgaddas, he's also a sculptor. So and we gathered and we like he also wanted to do something there and chalo kuch karte hain to kuch karte hain. That thought came from like let's do something. So we started like when attending the art exhibitions and whoever the students we are finding, then we used to like have a conversation with them, discuss about like what is happening, like how did the show go, like sharing the thoughts. And then we came up with thought like, let's make a group, or like let's collectively visit museums, do something. Then we came up with this project called this name called Possible Futures, and then we did a public first public project at that time responding to the Khajaguda Heritage Rock Formation. There, like this land encroachment was already has begun there. So we used to visit there because it's a very serene area, and like there are peacocks, there is a lake, there's full huge boulders, and we used to hang out there. We used to do sketching and all stuff. So when we see that, it was very painful. Then we thought like responding to that. So this was the first public project we did, and we were like totally clueless how it's going to go, because doing working in public itself is something which you never know. It's very vulnerable, situation for all of us, and we just took the risk. Like let's do, and it's a public space where everyone comes there because it's a heritage rock formation. And interestingly, we got many mixed reactions from the public. Some people were thinking we are maybe the YouTubers or reel makers or stuff like that. So that was our first instinct, what we got as a response in public space. Okay, talking about the collectives, I came across when I was before getting into collective or the idea of collective or even performance art. I used to think that during my bachelor's, uh, I didn't have any knowledge about performance art or a live art. So I used to think that the people who don't know how to sketch and paint getting into performance art, which is easier for them to find a platform or like to be seen out there. But then like as I started reading about it, and I encountered many amazing artists and who are like skillful in their technicality or drawings, or and also they are exploring performance art. Then this myth got bursted, and then like I seriously like started reading, and then slowly I started exploring it myself as a performer. Then I came across this collective, Sahamat Collective. This is one of the like historical collective from India, which it's been initiated by uh, many like good names like Vivan Sundaram, Geeta Kapoor. And this was during the Safdar Hashmi's after Safdar Hashmi's killing. They gathered together and to respond to that, and they came on the street. There were people in this collective. There were poets, there were writers, there were activists, artists, theater practitioners, everyone all together. Like they came together and they responded to it, which actually sounded very powerful at that time. And again, talking about the collectives, I also came across this the contemporary collective called Rux Media Collective. They are actually mainly research-based methodology they believe in, and they're very philosophical alteration projects they do. So every collective has their different nature to process and to work. Then this is our young group, Possible Futures. When we initially started our first project in Hyderabad, so many people actually started. We got into a lot of debates as well, and who are these people? Maybe these people are like the action group, open call, collective, YouTubers, like vloggers, or opportunity providers, or opportunists, or group or platform. Then we also checked with ChatGPT, like who is fossil futures. That's a screenshot of that, and yeah. This was the first edition of Fossil Futures, which happened at the Kajagoda rock formations, um, which was in 2022. There's some of the visuals I'm showing uh, from the day first edition, and there were 9 performances. They were students and emerging artists, mainly the students who were very much interested in exploring this genre of art. That's Madhukar Mucharla, and this is Swati Bhimani. They both are from JNFU College of Art, and like this was like they were already people who there is a small kind of masjid on that rock formation. There's also a temple, and it's a very interesting site. So near the masjid, like people have tied random like their clothes or discarded clothes on a tree, and he thought of utilizing them and responding to that. Um and here Swati Bhimani, she's also she has passed out now and practicing, and she came up with this ritual, what they do in Telangana from where she comes, uh, like like Ammavaru, the Mata comes in their body, and they respond, they it's metaphysical, this thing. I'll quickly shows the slides, just the visuals like what we did. We all responding to the site, the rocks. Uh, Everyone came up with their own ideas and how they are going to interact with the rocks. Yeah, and the first time, when we did this a public project, so we didn't realize what all goes behind, when it comes to being in a public or acting. It's not a we have to take a lot of permissions and all. So there are like agencies involved, like government bodies. We took then on the second edition, like we took permission from the police, local police, and the municipal or from the municipal office. And there are cultural institutions, NGOs, local communities, of course, surveillance structures. Space as a medium and not just as a site. In many public interventions, meaning emerges not only from what is performed, but from the fact that bodies have assembled in public space at all. This visual is from the second edition, where this artist Madhukar Muchalla, he comes from Dalit community and he wanted to respond towards it. And this was actually coincidentally fallen on the Ambedkar Jayanti. And this place also we chose. It's a necklace road where there's a huge, tall like Ambedkar statue. In right in front of it, he performed, and when he performed, like what we saw is how that space on a regular basis it is there. It's a almost it has become a tourist site, and when a performance take place and in such specific place, then the whole meaning of that space shifts. It's a public garden, and everyone they're everyone coming there to just to chill or hang out. And it was very amazing to see how the commoners or the public is responding towards the performances what we are doing. And this was a very interesting performance by Swati. So she dressed up herself as a bride, And there was a banner behind, like, she wrote in Telugu that Gauri Intiki Radaniki Dauri Khachitanga Kavala. That was in Telugu, which means like, um, uh, if you want to have Gauri in your house, is the dowry necessary? So it's based on that idea. And interestingly, and she was holding this dulha's turban, like, the groom wears this turban, and she was collecting money. And she literally printed invitation cards, marriage invitation cards, like they're all like fake, but yeah. So she was distributing, and I don't know, people have responded like, they were showing sympathy towards her. They were actually giving her money. He- should they give money? Like, are they like encouraging dowry or like what? And that was very interesting to see like how, and literally a lady, like, she started crying. And she's remembered her daughter or something, like, went through a bad situation. And she hugged her, and like, she was like, trying to give her this silver bangle to her. Then we, like, stopped her. No, no, like this is like, and after the performance, like, we told her, like, this is a performance and you should not encourage. You are again encouraging, what happened with your daughter. You should not, like, you would never want this to happen with anyone. So yeah, like such kind of incidents and like reactions which we got. And yeah, talking about the shifting of space, and this was the first set of performances we've been invited into within a gallery space within a white cube. So we were a bit hesitant, like, because we started as a public performances, like, all not like anti-gallery, but also to make art to accessible to public. But then we thought of experimenting it, and these were the set of three performances we did. Uh, it quickly switch and show you some videos of the performance. We also have a YouTube page where we keep uploading our directory, this kind of online directory for us. I'd like to show this. As this was images from the gallery space. Yeah. This performs. Okay. In fact, when in the gallery itself, like when they asked me the like as what is the meaning of it, and bit brief about it, I deliberately didn't say anything. I told them like it's if I say something and which means like I'm directing towards what I'm actually thinking, and you are free to interpret it. Because there are a lot of things are happening there. So from everything you can make out something. You can come up with something might relate to you. Something might reminds you of something like anything So yeah, so it's basically if it's like not making a meaning basically. So what I was doing is I distributed the flowers to everyone, and while distributing them I told them to make a wish and keep it with you. So there were like 10 flowers, and again I recollected from each one of them. Um, and then when I went to I sat down, and as soon as I just yeah strike the flower, everyone was like shocked, because before that everyone is like, oh, there are bubbles, there is like this light, there's all very fantasy things, a dreamy situation is going on, everyone is making wish, and all of a sudden your wishes are like being crushed. And yeah, like and I also wasn't making a meaning, or I didn't make any there was not a preconception or anything as such. Like it just happened very spontaneously right there. And maybe it's also the effect of me working within the galleries of everyone is looking at the curatorial note, reading them, and then looking at the artworks. And so it's basically about free interpretation. We blocked our uh, that visual literacy to see at certain art any artwork, and first you consume and then you reflect. This whole process is been like slowly it's fading. That's what it's kind of a response towards that. uh, Participation and collective experience is uh, when any such public live art practice we do, there are multiple layers which we see. There is a witness who is holding a memory, like a viewer amongst us, around us. And there is a co-creator, there's a participant, there are temporary communities, who For example, right now we are temporary communities. Like, we there is like Smitha curated this, and we all become a part of it, and we gathered and we become a temporary community, and that's how. And our group is also very fluid like that. There are no particular members in the group to name. Again, some of the works recently, it's a part of an exhibition. So we're also inclusive of many every community. Like, there are queer community, and there are theater communities. There are students from also from music students, and everyone. They all come up with, and the then we what do you say, um yeah, work together. This was from the Hyderabad Literary Festival. There were a set of 9 performances I curated there, and this is by Bhanu Srivastav, and this performance was actually responding to the Musi River crisis, which is still happening there in Hyderabad. And through this, there's a traditional festival called Batukama. It's a festival of flowers, they say, and he did this whole drawing. It's a huge drawing with charcoal, and then for almost 3 days, he's been in the process of performance. And from where, we also, I want to say that, some performances doesn't happen just overnight, and it takes a lot of process as well. So this performance from the HCU, this Hyderabad Central University, and where we're responding to the conflicted space. So later, after the performance, I also wrote a paper which got published in Serendipity Foundation. Saying, having said that, this when we do performances, there are what we do, we document visually, and also we document, orally and also textually. So it becomes important for us. Otherwise, performance art itself is, or any live art practice itself is very ephemeral. It's just very temporal. So I encourage everyone to, write about your work, and we should try to publish them, because that becomes an archive for us, later, for next generation. When they see, they cannot see the performances, but they can at least see the visuals and read the text. This was from Utsha Foundation, was a part of the International Conclave. This was our first invitation out of Hyderabad, and it's curated by Ajay Sharma and Umesh Nayak. Collective thinking in the digital era. This was one of the recent event which my friend Anupam Saikia is also performance art practitioner, and is also teaching in a um, Assam Art School of Art. So he one day, he gathered his students, and he was connecting to his friends, and how we gathered and uh, did a collective first. This was the second collective performance, because working collectively to for one performance is very difficult. We understood, because there it goes a lot of coordination, a lot of that synchronization, then synergy. If someone fails, the everything, it just disturbs. But yeah, we practiced it beforehand. We did a lot of sessions, exercises to sync in with each other. And we, 6 of us, we performed this, and this was online performance, just telecasted by Zoom call or something. And they were students and people who seeing our performance, and then we had also had a discussion after that. So it's also in how we connect using the digital era, how the technology, some of the visuals from the performance, and we collected all this stuff, roots, stems, whatever was available near the farm. we had to do it in a this white space because of the connectivity, again, like Wi-Fi connectivity. We could not do at the like exterior space because there was no network. And yeah, I think I already spoke about this. This was the performance I was talking about. I just want to show. Sorry, this video is missing. Yeah, talking about the vulnerability in public art, the physical vulnerability, the misinterpretation from the public, the legal risk and emotional exposure which we experienced during these performances, because there were like a lot of rallies and campaigning was happening by this Jai Bhim community, and because it was Ambedkar Jayanti, and we were like we didn't realize it, and because uh, it was like, the site was because everyone is coming there, and there were a lot of school students coming from wherever. And when he was doing this performance, people were actually like this rally car, like, this group of people, they stopped there, and they suddenly like asked, like, why are you wearing chappal on, like a chappal har and garland like that. Then he himself, then he explained, like, I also come from the same background, and this is a performance art. I'm talking about what we as like oppressed class uh, went through and going through and all that. Then when he convinced them, then they left from there. Otherwise, they were like gundas, like, they came to almost attack us. So these are the vulnerabilities, like, physical vulnerabilities we have experienced there. We are all like very scared. Talking about physical vulnerability, uh, this is Chidanand Shastri. He's also a queer artist and is a drag artist. This was part of Hyderabad Literary Festival, and it was interestingly how this burqa clad and the people who were wanting to, like, just sit and talk with him. That was the main performance about, to have a conversation. Yeah, and talking about the viewership, like, we all are like come from institutions, and we are institutional audience, like, because we already are visually literated that way, and we know. So we have our own expectations. We are like prepared. We are art literate, consensual viewing. Like, we are pin drop silence when the performance is happening, and we are also very good actors, and we are over actors as well, and we are also like hungry for meaning. We all try to make meaning out of it. When on the other hand, like with the public audience, what we encountered on every like public projects, very like they are like very accidental. They're just stopping by and they're like, oh, what's happening here, like, this very like surprising, shocking reactions. Kuch bhi ho raha hai, very nonchalant, and very disruptive and countering, reactive and vocal. Like, the people are coming to us, and they were taking selfies. They're barging into, as in like they're intervening. There was because uh, maybe like they thought they're allowed to. So I'll show one more video and I'll just wind up. That's a few more items I want to show on. Of course, thank you. So this performance is the process was actually uh, inspired by this process during Navratri or Durga Puja or Dasara time. My mother, we gather this ant hill mud, which is we call it's very fertile, and we make a small hill and in the puja room, and we keep navadhanyas and from the from the day one till 9 days. So inspired by that process, I also started doing from on the ninth day I performed. So I started on the day one, started with this on the jute bag, with the soil. I collected the anthill soil, and then this, gathered all this navadhanya and started growing them. So every day I was watering them, taking care of them, and like a proper ritual. And on the ninth day, I performed. So yeah, it's a process was inspired by that portion, that ritual.
Cariappa. Oh, so good. Wow, wow. Wow, wow. Wow, wow. How are you? Wow, wow.
That's the public reaction. What very random public they came and yeah, that was it. Thank you so much for your patience and listening to us. If there are any questions or any suggestions,
Um, yeah, so it was particularly interesting to see this collective that you and your friends had formed because we started something, you know, me, Seema, and Aditi. We started something a couple of years ago. So we we have a small collective too. So we think a lot about this idea of for making a community, you know, and it's wonderful that so much has happened in Hyderabad, and luckily that a lot of students are involved, and public spaces. It's happening in public spaces, um, and a lot of the performances are also to do with very pertinent subjects, like things like
yeah,
it's really wonderful that uh, that it could happen through this venue. There is also this group of people kind of bolstering you so that you can do this because you can't do it on your own.
yeah,
You
that's
need
true.
this, you need this support, you need this sense of safety that my friends are there, and a couple of things I remembered. You were talking in the beginning about how visibility is not community, right? That all this posting in social media, you put your whole life out there, but you still feel vacant. You still feel as if there is no care in your life. I mean, no one giving you care.
Yeah,
You feel as if you are isolated and alone. And it's completely different from face-to-face interaction with people. And there is an interesting book by an artist called Jenny Odell,
hmm,
and she's written a book. It's called How to Do Nothing.
okay,
It's the whole thing is about how public spaces encourage communities to develop. And if you don't have the right kind of venues, public spaces, the more loss. For example, you're talking about the loss of these spaces where people used to gather,
yeah,
right? And it's so wonderful that some people have come and they've made their own sculpture, public sculpture with these colored clothes,
yeah,
these mausoleum. And if these spaces are taken away, then where do we gather? Right?
true, yeah,
Is a very, very important thing to think about. And Jenny Odell also talks about how, we're increasingly being sort of influenced to think that you need to keep doing something, to stay relevant or to be seen,
yeah,
or you don't exist. But the truth is, you're not being anymore.
yeah,
You don't exist in this moment anymore. Because only through being seen, then you think that you're alive, otherwise you're not alive. So
true.
that's why the book is called How to Do Nothing.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. I'll read that. Thank you.
Really wonderful to see what work the collective has done.
Thank you.
Yes, questions are done for this session.
spoke about this Instagram culture and memes and this gallery opening culture. So are you against to this gallery opening culture? And
I never said I'm against it.
okay, this,
It's my observation.
or did anyone claim that probably is, this Instagram memes or something is a collective thinking or collective performance?
Sorry, I didn't catch you.
Did anyone claim that
Hmm.
is the Instagram things or these memes always their collective
Yeah,
thinking?
yeah, yeah. There are many new young collectives are emerging, and they are only on social media. There is no they're not meeting physically anywhere. They don't have a physical.
No, is that just something to do with the performance art? Are
Mm,
they performance artists or
not
is
performance
that
artists, collectives in general, artists, but like other visual artists. Yeah, not the
okay?
performance art
Yeah,
practitioners.
because they generally there are a lot of performance kind of performance are happening in publics,
Yeah,
but everything we cannot consider as a performance art.
true. Yeah.
So how are you connecting the all those Instagram memes or something to this performance art? So that was my question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you said, not everything can be called as a performance art, but there are, that's why whenever we, especially with the students and we ourselves, when we come up with an idea of let's plan a project, a public project. So after listening to the ideas and after sharing the ideas and all, me coming from art history, what I do is I give them a set of readings first, for the students and for each of us, first read an article, and again we discuss on the readings, what all did you extract from or understood from the reading. So that becomes important for us to understand what is not performance art. So yeah.
And nice, very great perform his presentation. Also wonderful his visuals.
Thank you.
Also, you talk about these portfolios. Sharing portfolio is you spoke about something about portfolio. So, what is your take on sharing portfolio or something?
So actually, we have been while I think after our second edition or so, from a few people, very anonymous people, they posted something on Instagram saying we are just an opportunist and we are just working for making portfolios, building our own portfolios. I was like, why not? Artists do work to make their portfolios, just like any IT or corporate people make their CVs, right? So it's just it's our portfolios are our work, our documentation for that, and there's nothing wrong about it. So yeah, so that's where I mentioned that point.
When you were talking about the meme culture,
Yeah.
Kandi Kalakar came to my mind. So, what is your opinion about that?
Um, Initially, it was good. I mean, the things which the Kandi Kalakar, he or she or they
They call themselves they're a group,
group,
so
yeah, yeah.
called, but they
So
never come out and show who they
no,
are. Yeah.
and only if the relevant things which they call out and which make sense can be considered, because again, he's a memer or they are a memer, so not every meme can be taken as serious, but also some points can be taken as serious, to think about at least, to and yeah, mm, that's what my say on Kandi Kalakar. Hmm. Right, yeah. Online, yeah. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Public, yeah. True, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. True. There are pros and cons of all this. Yeah. 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 True. Yeah. Mhm. Mm. Yeah. Is yeah. Screen. Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. This like performance art or live art, it has a lot of potential and possibilities, like ever. And this reminded me of one of the performance I did in uh, Odisha, like in Bhubaneswar, during this international conclave. So the concept was on post-human body ecology and technology. So from the same concept during COVID, what we were all gathering only through Zoom calls and video calls like that. So inspired by that thing, like I actually put a screen on the within the campus, and I went outside in the public on the streets. I was wearing a makeup and wearing a traditional dhoti and this from Odisha, and I was randomly talking to. There are a lot of colleges around, right? They're on the street, so there are a lot of stalls, these pani puri stalls and chai wala and all. So I was just sitting with them, chit chatting with them, and it was like on live telecasted on the screen in the campus. So people sitting in the campus could see my performance from there, and I could hear them, they could hear me. So it was very interesting. It was my first like experimentation, and yeah, these all people were like, they are ordering me to bring chai and pakoda and all that. I was like interacting with these people. I could not hear them properly because of the network issue also, but it's all a part of it. Like what we have dealt on in real scenarios. So yeah, that reminded me of that performance. Yeah. Anything else?
I don't have any. Okay. Yeah, I don't really have any questions or anything, but just wanted to let you know that we both are students from Srishti Manipal Institute,
Okay.
and we have done performance art pieces before, like just been introduced to it. We have
Mhm.
done like a few pieces individually as groups and stuff like that. So I really think this was very interesting, and I'm glad that we were able to attend this as well. And in terms of the whole sort of the way things are in contemporary times, in terms of like becoming very sort of the solitude and stuff like that you were talking about, I was able to resonate with it because I've also been told literally verbatim to attend opening of galleries and stuff, I mean exhibitions and stuff like that, just to network. And that's something that really scares me as well. So and I don't really attend openings just because of that, because I see a lot of people talking to each other and it really like sort of overwhelms me. And I've been in gallery settings where I'm like on the other side, as in I've seen visitors come in, and like I've been a gallery assistant before, but as a visitor
Mm.
I'm like I don't want to go to openings just because of this whole thing. And also it's really hard that like you need to put yourself out there, and like you need to know how to market yourself, otherwise you cannot establish yourself out there. So, and that's something that again like it sort of like it really gets
Visibility.
to me. So yeah, that's something I just wanted to sort of express that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really nice that your sort of your collective is actually like doing great things, honestly. So yeah, I would love to connect later if possible.
definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Vignesh. We'll conclude this session now, and we'll catch up at 2:30 after this lunch break. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.